For me, the best med school personal statement is a balance between what to say and what not to say. Let's chat red flags and how to address them, how to kind of navigate the landmines so that you come out with an exceptional personal statement. While we're at it, meet Gia, one of my favorite personal statement writers from the last couple cycles. She knew what she had a rough idea about what she wanted to write about. She had to overcome so much. She had to, and so quickly, but she had to game plan, and she really was committed to fine tuning her message. And together we worked on line by line for everything that she wanted to say. And the acceptances just kind of rolled in. If you want to learn more about how I work with students, how I partner with you on the writing, I'm not just editing, telling you this is awkward, this doesn't work. We're really building it together. If you want to learn about my program and how I work with students from A to Z, grab your spot on our calendar and we can chat and see if you're a good fit. All right, so number one, avoid the I've always wanted to be a doctor cliche. That cliche is a cliche for a reason, right? So you want to kind of go to the next level of reflection. So I've always wanted to be a doctor, great, but what have you been doing throughout your entire always that is proof of that? What is the evidence that shows kind of like a unique perspective to your story? So admissions committees have read this line thousands and thousands of times, maybe hundreds of times in any one given cycle. And it doesn't tell them anything specific about you. You want the personal statement to, yes, talk about medicine and talk about your commitment to medicine, but show that commitment to medicine through specific examples. So instead of stating something like this, share a specific experience that sparked your interest in medicine, that, confirmed your interest, that surprised you about medicine. So for example, my interest in medicine began when I volunteered at a free clinic and saw firsthand the impact that compassionate care can have on a patient's life. So that sets up an angle for your, I want to be a doctor, or I've always wanted to be. This is a specific slice, a specific moment, and then you can go into a patient-facing moment within that experience, right? So you go even deeper. So step 2, don't overuse the helping people. I want to help people. This is kind of like, I love to be in service of others. It's great. So we want to take that truth, that kernel of truth, and go 1, 2, 3 layers deeper and to show that. So while it's great to be motivated to kind of, by the desire to serve others, the phrase is vague, doesn't really show why medicine, why becoming a physician specifically versus other service-oriented professions and calling. So you really want to kind of understand or pinpoint the experiences that show you kind of narrowing a gap or serving a need, and then kind of make that connection to why physician. So be very specific. How have you helped in a medical setting, in a clinical setting? How have you helped in a non-clinical setting where you learned about kind of medical conditions or chronic conditions or, social determinants of health? Bring it back to medicine eventually if it's non-clinical. So example, through my work as an EMT, I learned how to provide calm and focused care in high stress situations, which deepened my commitment to becoming a physician. And then an example. So really kind of cast the serving of others through something you've already done, anchor it in a concrete example or experience, and then go into an example. Does that make sense? I hope. I know you're not speaking back. Okay. It's, voices in my head. Great. So number 3, the medicine as a calling trope. Believe me, I love this phrase. I've seen this phrase used well. I have started to see it, like the phrase of medicine as a calling, a little overused, and it could be a little dramatic when it's lacking specificity. So you could use that as an afterthought, right? As like a period to a couple of very important sentences. So you want to make sure that you are showing kind of your awareness of the medical career, that you don't have an idealized version of it, that you are, gaining experiences intentionally. So example, working alongside doctors in a rural clinic, I saw how medicine requires not just passion, but resilience, adaptability, and a deep commitment to patient care. This is beautiful, and this was a first draft, and I share that because I want to show you that there are multiple takes to what you want to say. This is very buzzworthy heavy, but if you kind of use it as an entry point into an example that shows teamwork, shows less than ideal situations, but really serving patients in kind of, formative ways, then what that takeaway was for you, that could really work well. And number 4, avoid words like destiny, miraculous, magical. I tend to cross these out. And you'll see, if you've kind of like are a friend of the channel and you've seen a couple of videos, you'll see that there is a before and after, Luis's before and after essay that uses the word magic. And at first I was like, I don't love it, but he was kind of adamant to it and wanted to use it, and we made it work. So I do have examples of this, but I witnessed a miraculous recovery, or a medicine is magic. It kind of could teeter on a bad movie script type line, right? So, but it can still work. That's why I mentioned, and I'll link it if you like that video on how it could work, if it's something that you truly want to articulate. So how you could kind of do it differently. Seeing a patient recover after a long illness was incredibly rewarding, and it reinforced my desire to pursue medicine. Talk about this recovery. What was your position or like part in it? Did you chat with them? Did you get to know the family? Did you bring them medical vouchers, prescription vouchers? Like, what is that recovery? What is the kind of magic or the kind of activity behind that magic curtain, right? Another, and this is probably the most important cliche that I want us to kind of X out completely, is this feeling of helplessness in your personal statement. I completely understand that there will be moments, very kind of formative moments, spark moments, something happens to you medically or to a loved one, or you're seeing something happen with patients and you feel helpless, you want to do more. But this, by default, you're not a physician yet, right? So this is all you can do. And it leaves a kind of negative impression. You want to make sure that you are flipping that instead of mentioning kind of how helpless you felt, follow up kind of what happened with what you did do, what you learned, what if you couldn't do what you wanted to do in that moment, how you did something different for the next patient that came along so that you learned something. So transfer or kind of transform this idea of helplessness into action and how that taught you why you want to become a physician. An example, when I first saw a patient struggling to breathe, I felt powerless. Okay, but where's it going? But it drove me to learn more about emergency medicine so I could act with confidence and provide the care needed in critical situations. Therefore, the next time a patient came in at 3 a.m. and could not articulate XYZ, and so then you show kind of what you did, right? And so again, you're not a physician yet. You're not kind of at that front lines of saving patients and devising course of treatment, but you can show what you've been doing. You can show how you are in action and in service of others that clarifies your why medicine. Another tricky one is avoiding kind of writing about a doctor for personal benefits, like job security, income, prestige. This may sound obvious, but you'd be surprised. I do work with some international students, more international students for more IMGs for residency, but I still have sometimes international students for pre-meds, and I will see this. And granted, this could be a very big driving force for you, but it doesn't kind of land the same in your personal statement. So an example, I'm drawn to medicine because it allows me to merge my passion. There's that passion word, but this was a draft. For science with my desire to make a meaningful impact on people's lives. This is a general kind of idea. This is kind of like the balance. So like your intellectual curiosity and your drive to serve others, show those in examples more so than the personal benefits that medicine will give you. So that's, my 2 cents there. Are you applying next cycle and you don't know where to start, or you're already kind of falling into these pitfalls? If you want to schedule a free chat to talk about how I work with students and really learn about whether we're a good fit, to work together, definitely get on our calendar and we can schedule that today. Or soon. Don't dwell on weaknesses. This is tip 7. And don't focus too much on excuses. You want to make sure, if you have a lower GPA, if you have a poor MCAT score, don't spend time on your personal statement talking about this. The personal statement to me, and you may get competing examples or kind of feedback, and that's okay. But for me, the personal statement is your best foot forward. It's the best of the best about who you are throughout this journey. You will have spaces in your secondary specifically or in your impact statement to talk about less than ideal circumstances or challenges that you've had to navigate. If you're going to do a red flag in your personal statement, you want to couch it in a way that spins it to a stronger lesson. So I have seen statements like, while my GPA in my first 2 years wasn't as high as I wanted, I took proactive steps to improve by seeking tutoring and dedicating extra time to my studies, resulting in a kind of strong upward trend, right? For me, this type of language is more secondary's impact statement. But sometimes students really want to talk about a red flag, because you have to address something in your personal statement. Make sure that location, like real estate, location, is important. So I would not leave that as the last thing that they think about before the conclusion. So you want to make sure that you kind of couch a red flag in something that's positive or in something that's personal to you, so that you kind of show deepening wisdom. All right. So another kind of tip to avoid, or something to avoid, is the personal statement being like a laundry list of your resume, is accomplishment after accomplishment after accomplishment. In many ways, the personal statement is what is not said in your resume, right? So think about depth versus breadth. Choose a few key experiences, maybe even that don't get captured in the bullet points in your resume, right? The quiet moments with patients, the kind of behind the scenes and reflections of, instead of saying something like, I volunteered at 3 hospitals, go into, during my volunteering in the oncology ward, I learned the importance of empathy and active listening when I met Marigold. And so then you go into that story. So it's like, you wouldn't put Marigold and her story and your kind of budding relationship in your resume. So think about using your resume as like a starting off point to kind of think about how you can organize experiences, and you're going to have to do that for your activities section anyways. But think about what you want to kind of dive deeply, emotionally, empathetically in your personal statement. I hope you found this video helpful. Sometimes I don't want to kind of delve on the negativity aspect, but you want to think about, this is a strategic piece of writing. You're not just thinking and feeling your way through this essay, or I would assume that you're not, I hope, because you want to think about the convention of it, right? At the end of the day, it is to gain acceptance. And so you want to kind of think about how you strategically do that by maximizing your message and showing them who you are and all the amazing kind of values and virtues and lessons and reflections that you've gained. So let that be kind of what shines in your essay. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Give us a like, get on my calendar if you want to chat about how we work as a program and if it's a good fit for you. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.